called Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to wish him a happy 75th birthday, signaling renewed warmth in Washington-New Delhi ties. PM Modi thanked Trump, calling him a friend, and reaffirmed commitment to deepen the India-US global partnership. The call coincided with a marathon 7-hour trade negotiation in New Delhi between U.S. Trade Representative Brendan Lynch and India's Rajesh Agrawal. Following talks, India's Commerce Ministry said both sides agreed to step up efforts towards a mutually beneficial trade deal, stressing the importance of bilateral trade and signaling progress amid past tensions. U.S. President Donald Trump arrived in the U.K. for a second state visit, greeted with a royal red carpet welcome. A guard of honor welcomed Trump and First Lady Melania as they stepped off Air Force One at a Stansted airport near London. The couple then proceeded to Winfield House, the U.S. ambassador's residence in London, where they will stay overnight. Trump, the first U.S. president to be invited for two state visits, previously met Queen Elizabeth II during his 2019 visit. King Charles will host Trump at Windsor Castle with a lavish banquet and carriage ride before Trump meets Prime Minister Keir Starmer at his country residence. The British public will be kept away from President Trump during his visit, which is taking place entirely behind closed doors with heavy security. A large anti-Trump demonstration was held in London, with protesters gathering outside Windsor Castle on Tuesday night. Demonstrators projected images of Trump alongside convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein onto the towers of Windsor Castle. The projections included newspaper headlines and footage showing the two men dancing together. Local police reported that 4 individuals were arrested following the projection stunt at Windsor Castle. U.S. President Donald Trump has extended the deadline for a potential TikTok ban until December 16th, marking the 4th delay of a law requiring the app sale from its Chinese parent company. The move, announced by executive order, came even as Trump told reporters that Washington and Beijing had reached an agreement on a new ownership structure for TikTok. Following Israel's recent strike on Hamas leaders in Doha, Qatar is fast-tracking its defense agreement renewal with the United States. The original pact dates back to June 1992, but current events have accelerated the need for an updated strategic alliance. Qatari Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani met U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Doha to deepen their strategic ties, especially in defense. Rubio reaffirmed the strong U.S.-Qatar security partnership and praised Qatar's ongoing mediation efforts between Israel and Hamas. The United Nations, along with several countries, have condemned Israel's recent attack on Qatar, calling it a dangerous escalation and demanding accountability. UN Rights Chief Volker Turk described the strike as a shocking breach of international law during an urgent debate at the UN Human Rights Council. Qatar, alongside Pakistan, the European Union, China, and South Africa, echoed these strong condemnations in a 3-hour session, highlighting widespread outrage over the incident. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that a strike against Hamas officials in Qatar last week was justified by the Gulf states' ties to the group. He said Qatar had significant influence but did not leverage it to encourage Hamas to release hostages earlier in the conflict. Netanyahu also rejected claims that Qatar is neutral or supportive of Israel, emphasizing his position that Israel's strikes on Hamas leaders in Doha were fully justified. The Israeli Defense Forces continue their military operations on the Gaza Strip, with reports indicating a significant explosion in the area. The IDF released footage showing tanks and other military vehicles moving into Gaza City. IDF Chief Eyaz Zamir noted that the operation has expanded within the city. The Israeli military has also indicated that it could take several months to establish full control over Gaza City. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres pushed back against claims that a two-state solution is a gift to Hamas. Speaking at a press conference, he said that such a resolution would instead be a gift to the Palestinian people, who he emphasized have also endured suffering under Hamas. Utah authorities have formally charged 22-year-old Tyler Robinson with the murder of prominent conservative activist and Trump ally Charlie Kirk. Prosecutors say they will seek death penalty for the suspect. Robinson faces charges for aggravated murder, 2 counts of obstruction of justice, and felony discharge from a firearm, causing serious bodily injury, among others. Officials say Robinson shot Kirk in the neck with a single bullet from a rooftop during an event at Utah Valley University. Robinson was captured after an extensive 33-hour manhunt. The next hearing date for the suspected shooter is set for September 29. FBI Director Kash Patel told a Senate Judiciary Committee that there is no credible evidence in the law enforcement files he reviewed showing that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked young women to anyone but himself. Patel's statement came as he pushed back on questions from the Senate Judiciary Committee about his handling of the investigation into the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk and the firings of veteran officials who have claimed they were removed for political reasons. Russian President Vladimir Putin oversaw the final days of Zapad 2025 large-scale joint military drills with Belarus held in Russia's Nizhny Novgorod region. Putin said the exercises were designed to ensure the unconditional protection of the Russian-Belarusian Union state, drawing lessons from the war in Ukraine. But the maneuvers involved thousands of troops, warships, nuclear-capable bombers, and combat vehicles, with scenarios that included nuclear weapons planning and the use of Russia's new Oreshnik intermediate-range missile. Members of the UK royal family have paid their tributes for the funeral of Catherine, the Duchess of Kent, at Westminster Cathedral in London. King Charles, the Prince and Princess of Wales, and Prince Andrew attended the service. The Queen Camilla was absent due to illness. An historic moment, a Catholic funeral was held, the first of its kind in modern royal history, reflecting the Duchess' deep faith. Pope Leo sent condolences, praising her lifelong devotion to vulnerable communities. Beyond her royal ties, Catherine lived humbly as a primary school music teacher. Mexico celebrated its 215th Independence Day with a historic military parade in Mexico City, led for the first time by President Claudia Sheinbaum. Cadets from the military college, along with personnel from the Army, Navy, and National Guard, marched to honor the nation's freedom. The celebration commemorates the call to arms by rebel priest Miguel Hidalgo on September 16, 1810. at the start of the country's war of independence from Spain. El Salvador's Navy seized 1.4 tons of drugs floating about 900 nautical miles southwest of El Cordoncillo Island in the Pacific Ocean. Defense Minister Vice Admiral Rene Marino said traffickers likely abandoned the shipment after being tipped off about naval operations. The seizure is part of ongoing investigations into international drug networks valued at around $35 million. This haul raises El Salvador's total maritime drug seizures in 2025 to over 21 tons and more than 71 tons since President Nayib Bukele took office. A military parade by the M23 rebel group, which controls parts of mineral-rich eastern Congo, has intensified concerns about the fate of an imminent peace deal between Congo and Rwanda, M23's main backer. The parade held in Goma showcased over 7,000 new recruits, including surrendered Congolese soldiers and local militia allies, even as recent skirmishes broke out despite a Qatar-led mediation commitment to end the conflict. The peace deal, expected to be signed in Washington soon, centers on Rwanda's withdrawal of support for the M23 and returning territories to Congolese authorities. Thousands of Slovaks rallied against Prime Minister Robert Fico's government, protesting proposed cost-cutting measures. The largest opposition party, Progressive Slovakia, organized the demonstration with estimates of up to 18,000 attendees expressing discontent over economic policies and Fico's pro-Russian stance. Around 1,400 foreign and local tourists stranded due to protests blocking a railway line near Machu Picchu have been evacuated. The tourists were taken to Cusco, some 53 kilometers away from Inca Citadel. Peru's Foreign Trade and Tourism Minister has said roughly 900 more tourists are still waiting to be transported. The disruption stems from ongoing issues including poor tourism management, rising service costs, and threats to the site's historical integrity. Additional problems involve irregular ticket sales, institutional disorganization, and repeated visitor complaints. In India, heavy cloudbursts and intense overnight rains caused widespread destruction in Uttarakhand's Dehradun and other parts of the state. Swollen rivers washed away buildings, roads, and bridges, resulting in 15 deaths, 16 missing persons, and about 900 people stranded across the hill state. Rescue operations continue amid difficult weather conditions, with teams from National Disaster Response Force, State Disaster Response Force, and Fire Brigade safely evacuating most of the stranded individuals. The United States big tech is pouring billions into nuclear fusion, an energy source long seen as science fiction. According to a new report, 29 developers are now headquartered in the country, racing to turn the experimental technology into a commercial reality. Unlike traditional fission, fusion produces far less radioactive waste and could power the AI boom driving America's data centers. Chevron, Shell, Siemens, and Bill Gates' breakthrough energy ventures are among the heavyweights backing the push. In China, Nvidia's new RTX 6000D AI chip is failing to impress major tech firms. According to a report by Reuters, the chip designed for AI inference is too expensive and underperforms compared to the banned RTX 5090 AI chip, which can still be bought on the gray market for less than half the price. The RTX 600D chip costs around 50,000 yuan. That's about $7,000. Google has announced a new $6.8 billion investment in the UK, including a major data center near London, to support growing demand for its AI services like cloud, search, and maps. The Alphabet-owned company has said that the project could create over 8,000 jobs a year, a boost for Prime Minister Keir Starmer's government it seeks to revive the economy. Google has also agreed on a deal with Shell that would contribute to grid stability and the UK's energy transition. Oil prices held steady after rising over 1% on Tuesday, driven by drone attacks on Russian ports and refineries, raising supply concerns. Russia's pipeline giant, Transneft, warned producers of potential output cuts. Brent crude hovered near $68 a barrel, while U.S. crude stood above $64. Meanwhile, investors await a likely Fed rate cut expected to boost economic activity and fuel demand. Market focus is on how aggressive the Fed will be, especially with new policymaker Stephen Mnuchin joining. U.S. crude inventories also dropped more than expected last week, a sign of strong demand that could support prices. The U.S. dollar is nearing a three-year low ahead of the Federal Reserve expects rate cut this week. Despite stronger than expected retail sales, broader economic concerns persist, putting pressure on the greenback. The euro and the other major currencies have strengthened, while assets like gold are rallying. Markets are now closely watching the Fed's dot plot and Chair Powell's tone to gauge how deep the rate cuts might go in the coming months. The Federal Reserve is expected to cut interest rates for the first time in 2025, with markets pricing in a 25 basis point reduction due to weakening job data. But political pressure and internal divisions are complicating the path forward. President Trump's attempted firing of Governor Lisa Cook and last-minute appointment of economic advisor Stephen Mnuchin to the Fed have raised concerns about central bank independence. Analysts warn this meeting could see rare dissent on both sides, with some pushing for a larger cut and others favoring no move at all, adding to uncertainty around future policy direction. Japan's exports fell for the fourth straight month in August, down 0.1%. year-on-year as U.S. tariffs continue to hit key sectors like automobiles and chip equipment. Exports to the U.S. plunged nearly 14%, with car shipments down 28%. Meanwhile, exports to China also slipped slightly, though gains in other parts of Asia and the EU offered some relief. Imports dropped 5.2% due to lower oil prices, narrowing the trade deficit. Analysts warn that ongoing tariff pressure and weak global demand could weigh on Japan's economy in the months ahead.